Today, I will talk about the most important skill you can learn in this decade, which is AI and automation. And for this, I will share you the platform make.com. If you already know it, great. If not, this is a crash course how you can essentially learn this platform as fast as possible and build out AI automations. And for those who want to learn a bit faster and also want to have a community of like-minded people where I also share more resources and live calls, you can definitely join the school community. It's the first link in the description. With this said, let's first understand what Make actually is. And you can imagine it like the glue of the internet. So what it does, it actually connects all your apps you use on a daily basis with each other so that they can communicate with each other. They can send data to each other. They can tell when there's a new item in my Google Sheets, send it to me via email. And this is an automation you can build out in make.com. And for this, you need to connect the apps with each other using the API. So the API is the application programming interface. And now please take a breath because it isn't that complicated as it sounds. Essentially, what you do, you send requests and responses between these APIs. So let me give you an example. So let's say we want to get the data from the Google Sheets. So we want to communicate with the Google Sheets API. So we are the client and it's like in a restaurant. So I want to order, let's say, pizza. And then this request will be sent to Google Sheets. And this is the part where the API is important because it connects these two parts with each other. Your request and you as the client and the server, meaning the Google Sheets server. And this is the middleman. So the API is the middleman. And who is the middleman? It is the server. Sorry, it is the, honestly, I don't know how it is called in English, but the person who serves the food. But essentially, then you send the request, it will go to the server, and later on you get the response, meaning the food. So this is a simple example of how an API actually works. And the great thing is nowadays, almost any platform has an API, or you can build an API for any platform. So you can connect literally anything with each other. And also you can connect OpenAI to all the apps on the internet, essentially. So this is really, really powerful so that you can build out sophisticated AI solutions. And here's a brief overview of what make.com is good for. So you can definitely automate your marketing stuff, your sales, your operations, your customer experience, your finance, meaning your accounting, stuff like this, IT, then human resources, HR, and just overall productivity. So you can literally do anything with this platform if you understand the fundamentals. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. So if you go down here, the question is, how do you get started as fast as possible? And what is really important with make.com automations? So first of all, it is important that you understand these few things here. Your automations will be as good as your automation skills in general. This makes sense. But it's not only this. You can be a good automation guy or a girl, whatever you are. And then you have the use case, and then you have also the system. So depending on all of these things, you will see how good the output actually is. So let's say your use case is really bad, but your automation skills is good and the system overall is good, then it won't have a big output because the use case just sucks. So you get the point here. So you really need to evaluate all of these three to become a really good automation expert. And generally spoken, you always, or in the best case, you start out with a flowchart. This whole thing here is a flowchart if you don't know, so that you understand the logic of the automation. And as soon as you have understand the logic, you want to build out the smallest prototype you can build out so that you get as fast as possible to testing, essentially, because there is where you really learn when you test and iterate. So with this intro, I think this is enough for you to know about automations and make.com in general, so that we can hop directly into it and build out our automation out. So now I'm here in make.com. So just create an account really quickly. I think in the beginning it is actually free. But as soon as you want to build out more sophisticated AI automations and stuff like this, You will probably need to upgrade, but it is quite cheap. I think $12 per month or something like this. So let's look at the interface here. So here you can build out folders. I've created one really quickly, YouTube tutorial here. Then you have the team section where you can potentially invite collaborators. You have templates from make.com, which we'll look at later on. Here you can put in your connections, which you use on a regular basis. These are webhooks. I think as a beginner, you don't know what webhooks are, but that's fine. Then here are the keys. But I would say let's just create our first scenario. So let's just hop directly into the make.com builder. So as you can see, let me put this up here. So as you can see here, you can essentially add apps. So let's say I want to add the Google Sheets as mentioned before. Then you can select this. And as you can see, here are triggers and actions. And what is a trigger? A trigger is as soon as something happens in Google Sheets, this means maybe a new row has been created or something has changed in the Google Sheets. This will trigger an automation. And an action is when you want to change something in the Google Sheets at a later time. So a trigger is usually the beginning, like watch changes, and then of course as soon as something changes, you could potentially send these changes via Gmail, create a draft, for example. But now that you understand the difference, if you look here at actions, it only shows us actions because we can't do a trigger within the automation, because the trigger is always the beginning of the automation. So here you see a lightning bolt. This indicates that this is a trigger. Exactly. So let me delete this. And we will build out a proper AI automation later. I just want you to understand a few basic concepts. Then here, down here, you can save your AI automations. Here are the settings, which can be a bit complicated in the beginning, so I leave this out. Here you can include notes. Here you just align the scenario. So if you look at this, and then I just put this here. When I say align, it will just align it. So it's not really that necessary, but it's nice to have. And here you can explain the flow. This is actually very nice because you understand what kind of logic is behind this. And this is something that I've just seen right now, or this morning actually. So make.com has actually included an AI assistant which will help you to set up your workflows easily by just prompting in what you want. So let's say we want to do this. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, it actually built out the AI automation for you using Gmail, Google Sheets, OpenAI, and Slack. But today, it is, in my opinion, really important that you understand the fundamentals so that you can build out your own AI automations without the help of an AI assistant. And down here, you have the schedule setting. This means how often should this automation run? Because you can run it every day. This means it will run every day at this time here, or you can do it at more regular intervals. And this is really important because in make.com we have operations, and operations are the things, or better said, make.com counts how many times your workflows go through. And based on this, they charge you money. So it makes sense to make your automations as efficient and as effective as possible. So you don't want to waste your operations, because I had this in the beginning where I just said run it every 15 minutes, and I ran out of operations a couple of days later because I didn't realize it would suck so much operations. So it is really important that you also have this in mind to think how should this automation should be designed that it is sustainable in the long term. But now I would actually say let's build out our first AI automation. So as mentioned before, the best way to start an automation is actually by scripting it out in a flowchart. So today what we will build out is a customer support automation analysis. So to clarify this a bit more, we want to understand what kind of process a business has in their customer support. And based on this, we want to generate an analysis. And for this, we will use AI. So let me show you how this could work. So first of all, we will ask them a few questions, and we do this with the Google Forms. Um, yeah, there we just ask them, um, how they manage the customer support. So this up here is the trigger. The trigger is something we have talked about a couple of minutes ago. This will be the trigger. Oops, good. So the next step of the automation is actually to send the results to ChatGPT. And what will ChatGPT do? ChatGPT will generate us an analysis and action plan. And then we want to essentially store this data. Um, we want to store this data in a Google Docs, because we just can't just send it to him over in a magical way. We want to essentially have it for him in a more clearer structure in a Google Docs, and from there we will send him this Google Docs via email. So oops this here will be our automation. We start with the Google Forms. As soon as somebody has responded to the Google Forms, we will send this data to ChatGPT. Then we will send it to a Google Docs, and then this Google Docs will be sent via email. So I would say let's just build out this automation. In order to build out this automation, we need to do a couple of preparations. And first of all, we of course need a Google Forms. So I've created a simple one really quickly where I just ask, how do you manage your customer support? And to which email can I send you the results? What we also need is a Google Docs where we want to store the information essentially. And I've created this one here. And this is something that can be quite new for people who haven't done automations yet. And these curly braces here just indicates that this is a variable, and a variable is a place where we can store information. It's like in math, for those who hated math, uh, variables like x is can be just stores potential data. And here we will essentially send the results from OpenAI, from ChatGPT, in here to ChatGPT results. And then later on, we will send this Google Docs via email. And how this all works is something I can show you here in make.com. So first of all, we start with the Google Forms. So let's start with Google Forms. And what we want is we want to watch responses. So as soon as somebody responds to our Google Forms, this will trigger the automation. So let me search for the form. And I have here a couple ones. Let me check this one. Is it? Exactly. Then I just press OK. So what is the next step? I want to connect it to ChatGPT. So I'll include ChatGPT. And here are a lot of things you can do. But the one we want to do is create a completion. So this is essentially just sending a prompt to ChatGPT, and it will generate you an answer. But of course, you could potentially also generate images for other scenarios. Exactly. Then I have already connected my OpenAI account. But if you haven't, you need to press add here. And you also need to include your API key, which you can find on OpenAI. If you don't know how to do this, just search in the web for OpenAI API key, and then you will find a guide where you can find the API key, and then you just paste it in here as you will get instructed. Then I will select the the method, sorry. The model is down here. Let's use GPT-4. And then I want to add a message. And here you choose a role, which isn't that important. Just use assistant and then the message content. And as you can see here are already the values from the Google Forms. So this is really the power of these APIs. You can send data between between these apps. And what we want to do, we will make it really simple with bad prompting now. um, Based on the information given, generate me an analysis and recommendation of how the business can leverage automation and AI in their customer support. And then here you can put in the information by just searching for the answers. Here's an answer. And then you need to go down here to text answers and until down here where the value is. So this can be quite confusing in the beginning, I know. But essentially, you first need to look at these areas and search what you're actually looking for, and we're looking for answers. And then which question is it? And as you can see, the question ID is not something that interests us. So we search further down. We look for the feedback, the text answers, and then down here, choose the value. Good. Then we go further and we send this to Google Docs. Great. And what we want to do is we want to create something. We want to create a Google Docs from a template. Let me check where it is. So I was pretty much blind, so it was just here. So create a document from a template. Then I've already created my connection, but it is really as simple as just log into your Google as soon as you will get requested. Like if you just press here on add, you can sign in with your Google account. Then search for the document ID. This is essentially just searching for the document, and I have it in the folder YouTube test. And as you can see, here's the customer support automation possibilities. Here's the area where you could also potentially use some things from the forums. For example, you could use the email, which is a very bad name of the document. So let's just make it test. Then as you can see here, ChatGPT results is what we have created in here. So make.com has seen that this is a variable and included it in here. So we can include things, data essentially in here. And for this, we want to use the results from OpenAI. And this we do this by choices, message, content. But the problem here is we haven't generated anything yet, so it won't really see the results yet, but we will just include it in here. Exactly. And then the question is, where is the location? It will be in my drive. And let's clarify the location again. And this will be in the folder YouTube test. Good. Exactly. So I would say let's test this for once. And we do this by, first of all, previewing this, where I can answer a few things. So I say, we manage it manually. We have an support agent who manages all requests via SMS. You can send it to this Gmail here. Great. So now that we have sent the answers here, we can now test our automation in here in make.com. And we do this by telling it run once. And now let's see what happens. There has been a result. So as you can see up here, there has been an answer. How do you manage your customer support exactly? And if you go down here, text answers, answers put in, we manage it manually. So this is exactly what I've written down there. And this result will be sent to ChatGPT essentially. And as you can see, it's still loading. It takes some time. And I'm actually not sure if it will work, because usually you already need a data set and then include it into the automation to make it happen. But we could fix this if there's an issue. Yeah, it takes some time, actually uncommonly long, but we have the result. Did it generate anything? As you can see, it didn't have the information we fetched it in. It's actually a problem. So it won't have anything good. Yeah. As you can see, it has just generated something out of the blue. So this isn't something we want. But as we can see, it still has actually worked. If we look down here, it has generated a document. If you see the results in here. So this is actually pretty nice, but the only step which hasn't really worked is here. So let me fix this really quickly. So we will take this away. And now that we have an answer stored in here, it will be much clearer, because now we see the value here. So we see actually what has been answered in the Google Forms. So let's include this, and we could potentially give it another run. Yeah, but overall, this would be the automation. Now what we want to do is we send this via Gmail, send an email, subject could be analysis of customer support. The content will be, hi there, you just thank them for participating. Thanks for participating. Here is the link to the Google Docs. Then what you try to find here is the link to the Google Docs. Let me actually check where it is. I will probably make a cut here until I find it. I think it will be the web view link. This is the thing with make.com. You might understand the platform, but you always also need the knowledge about the specific tools you want to use, meaning Google Docs. So you need to understand all this lingo here, but you will get used to it really quickly, and it will be most likely the web view link. So I would say let's just test this again. So now that we have this automation done, I will actually just use the answer here. I will just copy and paste it to check if it has worked. So let me fill out these forms again. Do this by previewing it. I will just copy and paste the same thing in here. It should send it to my email. And let's submit it again. And now let's run it again for another time. Okay, why not? Okay, I believe this isn't done yet. 1 second. Of course, you need to find, add the recipient, to whom do we want to send it. And the great thing is we have this data in here. Text answers. It is this email here. Then is there anything else we need to include? I don't think so. We will save this really quickly. And now let's try to run it. Now let's see if it has gotten the responses from the Google Forms into ChatGPT, because these two connections, they actually work. So message, and as you can see, it has worked. So sometimes it is all about testing it again. And now we can check it in the Google Drive folder where we have, or we should have, another test document. And we will look at the one created at 11:25. And as you can see, it has generated um, perfectly fine recommendations for the results. And in the last step, I will check if I have got it in my email inbox. I won't show you this. I've got it here. So great, everything has worked. So as you can see, this is how you can build out an AI automation using make.com. If you want, I can share other ones with you. And as mentioned before, in the school community, there's much more resources you can check out. Something I can also recommend is using the templates, because here you can find a lot of different things which can be interesting to build out, and it is essentially just plug and play. So you just choose a template here, for example, and then it will even guide you with the setup. So it will help you set up this automation, which is really, really great about make.com. And I believe this is all you need to get started. If you have any questions, feel free to send them into the school community, and I'll be there to help you out. So yeah, see you in the next one.